Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, The Real Super Sam. Today is another comic book review and I hope you enjoy. Continuing Goblin Week, let's look at Amazing Spider-Man issue 14, the first appearance of Green Goblin. The Green Goblin is considered by many, heck, everyone to be Spider-Man's greatest enemy. He was the villain in the main Spider-Man movie, referenced in every Spider-Man game, and even considered to be the main villain in Spider-Man PS4. This is the first Goblin issue, the Green Goblin, aka Norman Osborn, but we don't learn who he really is in this story, or even until much later. It will be fun to do since his last Spider-Man issue up to date has Norman Osborn in it, a nice callback to how it all started. The story starts actually with the Green Goblin going around and setting up his evil plan, the plan being to trick Spidey into filming a movie, but making it real and killing Spider-Man. He even goes to the Spider-Man rogues from issue 10, the Enforcers, Ox, Montana, and Fancy Dan. Spider-Man agrees to get some cash and agrees to star in the movie. This whole plan has been set up by Green Goblin. Peter Parker luckily gets sent to take pictures of the film Spider-Man is starring in, and this is also the first time we see Aunt May worrying over Peter Parker ever, which is a staple of her character nowadays. He gets to go to the movie place at the end. This is also the first time a fake movie plot has been used against Spider-Man. Spider-Man goes there and the enforcers say they want to practice their fight scenes, so nobody gets hurt. Spidey agrees, then they all start to attack him. I like that Spider-Man says, "This isn't how it's written in my script." He fights the enforcers for a while, then Green Goblin gets in on the action. Spider-Man realizes he can't fight all four of them at the same time, so he makes a dust storm with his webbing and runs into a cave. When he picks off the enforcers one by one. Boom! Spider-Man goes back in full force against the Green Goblin. I love the right panel. What the Green Goblin says is straight out of a movie. But Spider-Man runs into the Hulk. He's been hiding out in this special cave. That's the Parker luck for ya. We don't get much or really anything with Hulk. I've reviewed a great Hulk crossover in Fantastic Four issue 12. You can see that if you're interested. Here, he's just a big monster that Spider-Man views as an obstacle. That's all he's treated as too. At the end, the enforcers are beat, Green Goblin gets away, and Spidey barely gets enough money to take the bus back home. Spider-Man says, "You're not related to J. Jonah Jameson by some chance, are you?" There's a lot of great moments in this issue. I know Spider-Man fights Hulk once again, but this part in this issue seems to lead up to issues 119 and 120, where Spidey fights the Hulk in Canada. Green Goblin was very tricky and faster than Spider-Man. He almost got taken down by Spider-Man here though, but learns from his experience for next time. At the end, Green Goblin's identity isn't revealed. He gets away, which has never happened before in Spider-Man comics, except with Doctor Doom, and he isn't really a Spider-Man villain. We get a hint that the Goblin's real identity is rich, and that he just started doing crime, but Green Goblin gets away to return in a later issue. It's a great and establishes right off the bat that this Green Goblin is Spider-Man's greatest foe to date. Who knew he always would be? The movie business scheme reminds me of the first appearance of Spider-Man, where he wanted to cash in on his powers for money and attention. He's doing the exact same thing now, without knowing that these are supervillains planning against him, so he's not really doing it for any noble cause except to get money. He does it for Aunt May, sure, but before he wouldn't have without his powers. It's like in the first episode of Spider-Man the Animated Series, where he thinks of spending the $1,000 bonus on himself, then he realizes Aunt May is struggling, so he gives it all to her. There's a little side plot here where Betty and Peter are in love, but with Peter being happy to leave to go to the movie, Betty worries it's because of the Hollywood girls. And Liz Allen, for the first time, seems to like Peter Parker and yells at Flash for always teasing him. The Enforcers return, and they were the main villains in issue 10. 4 issues later, they're here. The Enforcers have the funniest lines in here, too. They've gone up against Spider-Man before, so they know how tricky and strong he is. Green Goblin doesn't. They all show off their abilities really well and have a lot of reading time. The Ox is my favorite one. A great moment is when all of them crowd Spidey and he just throws them all off him. This is the first time Spidey's ever fought the Hulk and gets from him the hardest punch he's ever felt, and it's barely a punch. This is the third time, believe it or not, a villain escapes without appearing again in the very next issue. The first 2 times were with the Tinkerer and Doctor Doom in Amazing Spider-Man issue 2 and issue 5 respectively. The panel shots are straight from a movie. This is a comic that everyone must see because it looks like these shots are actually planned for a movie. Green Goblin is a lot more silly than deadly here. I mean, look at the way he gets into contact with Spider-Man, and how Spider-Man has to get close enough to talk to him. Like, if this was normal, they would just be on a building or in a room. He does use some type of pumpkin bomb, but the ability his glider has to cut through Spider-Man's webbing is what stands out here. First the Green Goblin, then Hulk. Spidey needs stronger web fluid. Now, Green Goblin is dark and mature. I prefer it back in these days, where he was just a crazy threat and only to Spider-Man, not trying to blow up the Daily Bugle or transform his grandson or make kids. Just a fun little joking story between him and a superhero. He doesn't fly on a glider in his first appearances. Instead, it's a broomstick or a vacuum. It's funny, but not what we know Green Goblin to have today. The story mainly is Spider-Man meeting Green Goblin for the first time, but plenty of other stuff happened during this too. I wish we got a bit more Jameson talk in this, but that's okay. It is a 10 out of 10, a perfect Spider-Man issue. Green Goblin is still threatening, even in the 60s, and has been in his first appearance, mainly because we don't know who he really is. Please comment your thoughts down below. This has been another episode of my Goblin Week. Please also like and subscribe. Bye guys, and have a good day.